All right, everyone. We're going to lighten things up a little bit with an episode of Ripley's Believe It or Not from April 9th, 1938. I wanted to reach back and find something a little older than what we're traditionally having in here, so I thought something from the late 30s would be fun. So Robert Ripley, you probably know him as a champion of oddities. He was a newspaper cartoonist and became a radio and TV personality. I remember I've been to a couple of his auditoriums. There used to be one in Chicago. I know I was at the one in San Francisco. I'm not sure that there's any open today, but I'm fairly sure that you can see some of Robert Ripley's strange things out there somewhere at a museum. Interestingly, the first showing of Robert Ripley's oddities were at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933. So that's pretty fun. So in 1938, Hitler marched into Austria. Dark days were ahead, but we'll lighten things up for a moment. Also in 1938, some interesting facts. That was the year that Orson Welles broadcast War of the Worlds. Fair Labor Standards Act established a minimum wage. The Chicago Cubs played the New York Yankees in the World Series. I think we know what the outcome to that one was. But Chicago did beat Toronto in the Stanley Cup. The ballpoint pen was invented in 1938, and so was electric shock therapy for the treatment of mental illness. A movie ticket was 25 cents. Average income was $1,731 a year. We're doing pretty well now, aren't we? A new car was $860. Gas was 10 cents a gallon, and eggs were 18 cents a dozen. Ripley's Believe It or Not episode of Titanic is brought to you by Post Bran Flakes, a cereal that was introduced in 1915, and it's still available today. And as you'll learn, it's very high in fiber, and it keeps you fit naturally. Enjoy the show.
Post Bran Flakes presents Believe It or Not. Post Bran Flakes, the delicious cereal that's more than a cereal, bring you Robert Ripley with more of his amazing Believe It or Not. B.A. Rolfe and his orchestra and lovely Linda Lee. Yes, sir, life is swell when you keep well. And what a really swell cereal Post 40% Bran Flakes are. A wonderful flavor, nut-like and crunchy, and then in addition, this delicious cereal has those extra benefits. The benefits of bran so many of you need to help keep you fit naturally. So first thing, why don't you join the millions who enjoy Post Bran Flakes every day? And now, here's that welcome-worthy, wonder-working, win-over of well-founded, warranted, and worldwide wows. Whew. Believe it or not, Bob Ripley.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the program tonight.
Bob Ripley, that problem you gave me last week certainly has me all mixed up.
What do you mean?
Remember you asked me what war ended 30 years before it started?
Oh, yes. That was the war between the Ninevites and the French in North Africa in 1880. Linda, just as the war was about to break out, the French diplomats urged them to stop and avoid useless bloodshed. But the Ninevites said that they never started anything unless they finished it. And they always finished every war they started. So, in order to satisfy everybody, the French and the natives signed a paper, now in the records of the French War Ministry, stating that the war ended 30 years before it started. Believe it or not. I know it's hard for us to believe that only 100 years ago the crimes of forgery and counterfeiting were punishable by death. Now, my first radio drama tonight deals with the most fantastic counterfeiting caper that has ever come to my attention. The time, August the 9th, 1828. The place, the gloomy criminal court of Old Bailey in London. The defendant, John Lloyd, who was on trial for forgery and possession of counterfeit money, is whispering to his solicitor, Mr. Hodges.
But, Miss Hodges, I told him I got those banknotes honestly.
Both Mr. Glover and myself realize that you're innocent, John, but we haven't got the evidence to prove it.
What are you going to do? Let me, an innocent man, go to the gallows?
Oh, easy, lad. You're not going to the gallows yet. There is still a trump to be played. Mr. Glover is going to try to confuse the Crown's witness.
You mean Henry Hayes? Oh, he's a wiser, he is. How do you do it?
We shall ask him to identify again each and every one of those counterfeit £5 notes, which they hold in evidence against you.
What good's that gonna do?
You see, lad, the barrister realizes that thing looked pretty black for you, and he knows you're innocent. He's done a desperate thing.
What's he done?
He's actually tampered with the king's evidence.
No!
He's substituted the genuine £5 note for one of the counterfeits. If Mr. Hayes identifies that genuine note as counterfeit, it will discredit him as a witness, and the case against you will collapse. Listen, Mr. Glover, it's about to begin cross-examination.
Mr. Glover, you may proceed with the cross-examination of the Crown witness, Henry Hayes.
Thank you, my lord. Now, Mr. Hayes, as cashier of the Bank of England, you have previously testified that these Bank of England notes, penny number and a £5 denomination, are forgeries. I refer, of course, to Exhibit A.
I do so testify.
Would you be obliging enough to explain how you arrived at that conclusion? You're aware, of course, that a man's life is at stake?
There is no doubt in my mind that they are forgeries.
You are prepared to swear again that each and every one of these banknotes in Exhibit A is a forgery?
I am.
Then I call upon you to restate your opinion of these banknotes under oath. I give them to you now for re-examination.
I've done this already. It is ridiculous.
The court wishes to instruct the witness that Mr. Glover is within his rights of insisting your re-examination of the notes.
Very well, then. I'll take them. Let me see. First note, obvious forgery. Second, likewise. Third, likewise. The fourth, strange.
Go on, Mr. Hayes.
I beg pardon, my lord. May I request that the bailiff hand me the magnifying glass in my cloak?
The court so directs.
Miss Hodges, I told you the solicitor would try and set him up. Mr. Hayes is a wise old fox. I can feel that noose tighten around my neck now. Oh, I wouldn't give you a tuppence for my life.
Mr. Glover.
Wait, listen.
You may resume cross-examination of the Crown witness.
Thank you, my lord. Well, Mr. Hayes, you seem perturbed. What strange mystery did your magnifying glass disclose when you examined that banknote?
Mr. Glover, this note is genuine. It's very strange.
Genuine, eh? I see. Mr. Hayes, the fate of my poor defendant has now suddenly begun to concern you. Can it be possible you made a mistake in your first examination?
No, but, my lord, with the court's permission, I would like to confer a moment with the counsel for the Bank of England.
Very well, Mr. Hayes. Permission granted.
Look, John, we've got him on the run.
Oh, you're right. He does look green about the gills. I wonder what's up.
I am ready, my lord.
The court recognizes Mr. Hayes. Proceed.
The Bank of England wishes to withdraw all charges referred against the accused, John Lloyd.
Wonderful.
Order in the court.
That's wonderful.
Order in the court. The court has no choice but to grant this motion. But before it makes its rule definite, the court wishes to question the Crown witness, Mr. Henry Hayes.
Yes, my lord.
What has prompted this sudden reversal of attitude on your part?
I'm still dazed, my lord. What has happened, I cannot yet believe. When I examined this £5 note a moment ago, I found it to be genuine.
You already testified to that effect.
Yes, my lord, but there's something else. There is writing on it. Writing in blood.
Did you say in blood?
Yes. Written on this £5 note is a message for help. It reads as follows. I am writing this with a splinter of wood dipped in my own blood. If this note should fall into friendly hands, let it be known that I have been languishing in a slave gallery in Algiers in the cruel services of Hussein Pasha. Please help me.
Mr. Hayes, why are you so deeply concerned about this?
My lord, the man who signed this message on this banknote has been missing for 13 years. He is Samuel Hayes, my brother.
The world of sleight of fancy could never contrive a situation more dramatic or more unbelievable than this. The lawyer's trick in substituting a genuine £5 note for a counterfeit brought to light a message written in blood of the long-lost brother of the Crown witness. And so, 2 human lives were saved by a banknote. The life of the defendant in the case, and that of the long-lost brother who was saved through the English consul in Algiers and ransomed from slavery. The note itself is now an exhibit in the Bank of England Museum in London. Believe it or not.
Life is swell when you keep well. Hey, B.A., how would you put that?
Well, I might say life is a song when there's nothing wrong.
Good. How about you, Linda?
Oh, life is a tune when there's love and a moon.
Oh, I'll take a slice of that myself, Linda. And Bob, how about you?
Well, how about life is bright when you start the day right?
Life is bright when you start the day right. Say, Bob, I think you've got something there. And you know, folks, one mighty sensible way to start the day is to treat yourself at breakfast to a bowl of delicious Post Bran Flakes, the cereal that's more than a cereal. You all know the benefits of bran, why it may be what you need to help keep you fit, alert, and feeling in the pink. Well, Post Bran Flakes bring you all the benefits of bran in the swellest tasting cereal ever. Crunchy golden brown flakes with a wonderful, really different nut-like flavor. That's why you'll find Post Bran Flakes on more breakfast tables than any other bran flake cereal, because more people like them. So when breakfast time rolls around again, just do this. Fill up a bowl with these crunchy, delicious Post Bran Flakes. Sprinkle on some sugar and add plenty of rich milk or cream. Say, after that first spoonful of Post Bran Flakes, I'll wager you'll agree. Here's the cereal for me.
Probably the most cussed and discussed subject in the world today is the weather, and we've had plenty of it lately. But we really shouldn't complain about the weather. We've had worse. Why, the year 1816 was known as the year without a summer. All along the Atlantic coast, they had snow, sleet, rain, and cold all summer long. In July, birds froze to death in the fields and forests. Crops never came up, and not a single fruit tree bore fruit all year long. The likes of it has never happened since. But the most dismal of all days within memory of man was the famous dark day of 1780. On May the 19th, midday was as black as midnight, and it wasn't due to any eclipse of the sun at all. It was caused by a mysterious formation of heavy black clouds. Roosters failed to crow. All animals remained asleep, and people actually carried lanterns down Broadway at noontime. We really didn't have a bad storm this week. Why, when I was in the Philippines, I came across a place where the greatest of all storms took place. This was a real flood. On July the 14th, 1911, 46 inches of rain fell in 24 hours in Baguio, not far from Manila. That means that more rain fell in Baguio in one day than usually falls in Los Angeles in 3 years. 26 years ago next Thursday, the greatest tragedy in the history of the sea occurred. On the night of April the 14th, 1912, a wireless message crackled across the ocean announcing that the Titanic, hailed as the safest ship afloat, was sinking. That message was received by a young Marconi operator sitting alone in his little wireless station in New York City. This operator was the first to receive and to send out this disastrous message to the world, the sinking of the Titanic, with a loss of 1,518 lives. President Taft in Washington even ordered all wireless stations silent, so this one could continue receiving messages from the rescue ship. And he performed this heroic task. He stayed at his wireless key for 72 hours at a stretch without relief. This coming week, being the anniversary of the Titanic disaster, I think it fitting to pay tribute to this boy of 26 years ago. That wireless operator was none other than David Sarnoff, now president of the Radio Corporation of America and chairman of the board of the National Broadcasting Company. Believe it or not. And for my next Believe It or Not, I take you back over 40 years to 1896 in Port Hope, Michigan. It's just before dinner at the home of the Shubrings. The children are playing an exciting game of bear and hunters when the mother calls to them.
Get the bear. There's the bear. Oh.
Children, dinner will be ready in a second just as soon as I get this bread cut.
All right, Mother.
Oh, we're on a bear hunt. We're out in the woods. We're hunters.
Yippee! Look out, Mr. Bear. Here we come.
Children, how can I cut bread with you under my feet? Come out from under that table, Arthur.
That ain't a table, Mother. That's a big cage, and it isn't Arthur. He's a bear. Yippee! Look out, Mr. Bear. Here he come. Look out, Arthur!
Ah! Oh, my darling, what have I done?
What's the matter, Mother? What's the matter with Arthur?
He jumped up from under the table, and this bread knife went right into his eye.
And that little boy who was playing a game with his brother and sister that evening is here with us tonight to tell us the strange conclusion to that accident. Mr. Arthur Schubring, I can't think of anything more terrifying than a bread knife going into an eye.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
What? A knife in your eye?
Yes, Mr. Ripley. You see, before my accident, I was so cross-eyed, I was very miserable. True. The bread knife must have cut a muscle and it straightened out my eyes. Oh, now my eyes are perfectly normal.
Yes, that's right. Your eyes are. They're not cross-eyed anymore, I'm sure. Thank you, Mr. Schubring. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree that that was a lucky accident. Arthur Schubring, who was cross-eyed when a little boy, accidentally ran into a bread knife his mother was holding, and that accident straightened out his crossed eyes. Believe it or not. You know, while on the subject of lucky accidents, I have a young man standing here beside me whom I'd like to question. His name is Robert Merrill. He came here from Crane, Missouri. Mr. Merrill, tell us, where were you on October the 16th, 1931?
I was out hunting with a rifle.
Okay, and what happened?
As I was running across the field, I tripped and fell. The gun went off and a bullet went right through my side.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
Oh, no, mister. That bullet did me a favor.
A favor?
Yes. When I got to the hospital, the doctor told me that the bullet had clipped off my appendix. Clean as a whistle.
Well, that was a lucky bullet, I would say. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard from Robert Merrill, who was out hunting and stumbled and fell while carrying a rifle. The rifle went off, and the bullet went completely through his right side, but instead of hurting him, the bullet miraculously cut off his appendix with surgical precision. Believe it or not. Being the night of lucky accidents, I've also invited Mr. Joe Fleischman from Jackson, Michigan, to come here and tell us about his accident. Now, tell us what happened to you, Mr. Fleischman.
I was smoking a pipe, Mr. Ripley.
Well, that's good.
No, that was bad, because I was fixing a tire at the same time.
Oh, and that was bad?
No, that was good. Because the tire exploded in my face.
Well, what's good about that?
Well, when the tire exploded in my face, it drove the pipe stem down my throat.
Oh, I suppose that was just dandy.
It was. You see, I had some trouble with my tonsils.
Good or bad?
No, don't worry, it all ended happily, Mr. Ripley. The tire exploded in my face and drove the pipe stem down my throat, and that pipe stem cut off my tonsils completely and free of charge.
Really? Well, believe it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard from 3 lucky, believe it or not, accidents with a purpose. You've heard Arthur Schubring, who got a knife in the eye and straightened out his cross eyes. Robert Merrill, who tripped over a rifle which went off, the bullet removing his appendix. And Joe Fleischman, who had a pipe stem driven down his throat, which removed his tonsils, proving that the worst that can happen to you is for the best. Or truth is stranger than fiction. Believe it or not.
You know, folks, it's a mighty rosy old world when you're feeling tops. Yes, life is swell when you keep well. So why not keep on feeling that way? And here's a good recipe. Plenty of fresh air and sunshine. The right kind of exercise. Get sleep enough and enjoy the right foods. At breakfast, enjoy the cereal that's more than a cereal. The cereal that brings you a marvelous flavor and the benefits of bran, post-bran flakes. And here's another recipe. I wonder how many of you know just how good bran muffins can be. Well, you'll find a recipe on the package of your post-bran flakes that'll make just the finest bran muffins you'll ever put in your mouth. Moist, tender, full of flavor, and you'll find bran muffins a splendid way for you to vary your use of Post Bran Flakes. So ask your grocer for Post Bran Flakes. Join the millions of folks who get off each day to a sensible start with Post Bran Flakes. Yes, sir, life is swell when you keep well.
Problem time, Bob. What's the big question tonight?
Oh, well, Linda, tonight, here's the question. Now tell me, in what country are animals obliged to wear veils?
I know that veils are all the rage this spring, but I didn't know that our four-footed friends wore them.
Well, there is a country where the animals wear veils, Linda, and if you don't find out by next Saturday, veil, I'll tell you.
This is Kathy Juarez saying good night and keep fit. For the makers of Post Bran Flakes, this is the National Broadcasting Company.
Oh, thank you so much. Wonderful job, everybody. And the cast really did double duty here with lots of roles in Ripley's Believe It or Not. To introduce the cast, the announcer and Post Bran Flakes spokesperson, Kathy Juarez. Bob Ripley and Mr. Glover, Brad Zuro. Linda Lee was portrayed by yours truly. John Lloyd, B.A. Rolfe, and the young and older Arthur Schubring, Jay Summerfield. Mr. Hodges was played by Allison Byhoon. The judge and Robert Merrill, Andre Dixon. Mr. Hayes and Joe Fleischman, Mark Fazio. Arthur's mother was portrayed by Ali Babka. Arthur's sister, Pauline Reisman. And Arthur's brother by Cameron Mieszczak. Once again, doing our sound effects tonight, Kathy Juarez and Allison Byhoon. Excellent job. Marty McNulty's shoes are hard to fill, but you did a wonderful job tonight. Thank you for stepping up. Wonderful. Just like to give a big thank you and an appreciation to the Riverside Township Supervisor, Vera Wilt, and the board. We appreciate the use of the hall and the ability to bring the old-time radio shows to this great audience. Our presentations are available on our YouTube channel, which is run by Andre. And we also have a presence on Facebook, which Marty McNulty runs as well. Another big thanks to I didn't mention it before, but our new dad, John Gelsomino at audio. He might be a little tired, but he did it tonight. And video, Lorenzo Cordova, thank you so very much. So again, thank you so very much for being here tonight. I'd like to welcome John up here to tell us a bit about his December program.
Thank you, Corrie. Fantastic job by everybody tonight. I know the weather indicates that it isn't as late in the year as it is, but the holidays are upon us, and we know sometimes it's a little bit of a crazy time of the year for our shows. We typically try to be on the fourth Friday of every month, but during in November and December, we bump that up to the 3rd. So please make note of that on Friday, December 15th, we will be back with our 2 Christmas holiday programs. The last few years we've kind of taken a look at the episodic programs of the era and how they handled the holiday season, and we're going to do that once again with an Armis Brooks program, the Christmas Gift Mix-Up, as well as a episode of The Whistler called The 3 Wise Guys. So they're both really good shows, and we hope you're here. And if the craziness of our switching schedules in November and December has messed you up, I thought of a way for you to sort that out. 4 Fridays from now, 3rd Friday in December, 2 shows. Here's the place. We hope you're here, December 15th. Thank you for being here.
So again, thank you for being here. Another round of applause for this wonderful cast. Thank you.